Hello everyone and welcome back for the semi-finals of Grand Prix Prague 2014. I'm Emanuele. I'm here with Hall of Famer Frank Karsten, and we do have only 3 more matches to be played before we will know the winner of Grand Prix Prague 2014. Frank, who are we going to look at?
We are going to start off with the semi-final matchup between Marcel Kacahapow. He's a 25-year-old economics student from Düsseldorf playing Tempo Twin, aiming to assemble Pestomite and Splinter Twin together for infinite damage, or just attack with Pestomite and finish off the opponent with some lightning bolts. And he mentioned that Snapcaster Mage was the most important card in his deck. And he's up against Carlos Moral, 26-year-old video game tester from Spain with the most innovative deck in the entire top 4, Blue-Red Delver, aiming to flip Delver of Secrets on turn 2, or make Young Pyromancer and chain a couple of Gitexian Probe and Serum Visions into a lot of 1/1 tokens. The other semi-final matchup is going to be between Vjeran Horvat, a 27-year-old IT developer from Croatia, who is on Blue, White, Red Tempo with Guise of Saint Tweft as the MVP card. And he's been playing the deck for quite a while online, so he is very experienced with it. And he's up against Emanuele Giusti, 23-year-old player from Italy, in his 4th GP top 8, playing Junt, featuring the best cards in green, black and red. But we're gonna start off with Kacahapow against Moral, both blue-red decks but on completely different game plans.
Yeah, certainly a different game plan there for these two people. Carlos Moral, more the aggressor, Delver of Secrets, and Young Pyromancer for him. Marcel Kacahapow, as you mentioned, more of a combo deck, does have some ways to win without the combo, but it's gonna be a crazy game. And my favorite for this game is gonna be the Spanish guy, Carlos Moral. Vamos Moral. Who do you think is gonna win, Frank?
I would also bet on Carlos Moral. He will be able to put on a lot of pressure with creatures such as Delver of Secrets, Young Pyromancer, as well as Snapcaster Mage and Vendilion Clique, while disrupting the Splinter Twin combo with Lightning Bolt and Pestomite, or Vapor Snag in response to Splinter Twin, possibly Spell Pierce or Remand, and he can play a great tempo game with his deck.
And maybe the other matchup, who's your favorite there? I think I'm gonna root for the Italian, Emanuele Giusti. Already 3 GP top 8s under his belt. He does have 2 wins as well, so he certainly knows what's up. Blue, White, Red against John, basically a classic matchup, but I'm still gonna go for the more experienced player in that one.
I agree, that matchup is very close, but I would also go for the experience in that one as the tiebreaker.
So if our words are true, we will have a Spain against Italy finals. Would be good to see. Anyway, if we see the other 2 people, Marcel Kacahapow and Vjeran Horvat in the top 8 in the finals, that would be also awesome, of course.
All very capable players, navigating through almost 1,400 others into the top 4. And they all have their sight on the trophy. That is what they are going to play for, to be crowned the GP Prague champion. Yeah,
good to say also, we are watching the match between Carlos Moral and Marcel Kacahapow, where Marcel is mulliganing, but Simon Gerson is also watching that other game. He will be bringing us live updates from time to time. He will come over to the booth, tell us what happened, some interesting plays maybe, so we will know what happens in both of these matches. So fans from Emanuele Giusti or Vjeran Horvat, don't run anywhere, keep watching the stream because we will bring updates as well for you guys.
Yeah, and both players have kept their hand and the game is underway.
Turn 1 Serum Visions for Carlos Moral. Marcel Kacahapow adds 6 cards. We do see a Grim Lavamancer in his hand. Probably a 1 or 2 off in his deck. Yeah. Oh, actually 3 main deck Grim Lavamancer. One of the better cards in this matchup. If Carlos Moral cannot kill it with his Lightning Bolts or Pillar of Flames, it's actually a very potent creature.
Indeed. Marcel still needs to get 2 cards into his graveyard, but just a fetch land and Serum Visions would allow him to do that on the next turn if he has that in his hand. Yeah, Marcel is on the Tempo Twin deck. and the triple Grim Lava Monster indicates that he is not only planning to go for the combo, he can also win in alternative ways, just by playing a reasonable control game with his blue-red deck. Snapcaster Mage, Grim Lava Monster, get some advantage there, and perhaps ride Deceiver Exarch and Pestomite B-Down to a victory. But that Grim Lava Monster didn't live for long.
Desolate Lighthouse for Marcel Kacahapow as a second land, kind of indicating that he does not have a third land. I always keep track of that. If my opponent's second land is a colorless land, it probably means that he does not have a third land at this point. And we do see a remand on that Young Pyromancer from Carlos Moral. Marcel Kacahapow does draw a card, will draw yet another card. Is it a third land or is it not? He shuffles a bit his hand, trying to hide the information of what he just drew.
Carlos did not play a Spell Pierce or Spell Snare on the remand, and if he had one in his hand, it is quite likely that he would have gone for that. So Marcel can reasonably deduce that he does not have to worry about those instant speed counter magic spells anymore.
Yeah, but we do see double Gitaxian Probe in Carlos Moral's hand, so one Young Pyromancer will be making 4 power if left unmatched. So
yeah, that is what this deck is aiming to do.
And there we see Pestomite on the only red source from Carlos Moral, so kind of delays the inevitable. Maybe does Carlos Moral have another red source? He does draw Misty Rainforest, certainly has another red source, also had a Scalding Tarn actually, so didn't need the land, still drew it. I'm guessing the Young Pyromancer is coming down here, Frank.
Yeah, that's what he is trying to do with his deck, so it seems like almost certain that he will indeed play the Young Pyromancer here. And he can then chain off some Gitaxian Probes to really make quite a nice strike force.
It does take 2 from his team. It's only 1 basic mountain in Carlos Moral deck. Of course, he would not have been able to sacrifice to search it with a Misty Rainforest, but Carlos Moral would run 1 mountain and 6 basic islands, so could not search the second basic land there. Does pay 2 for Gitaxian Probe. We will get to see Marcel Kachapow's hand. Indeed, does not have any more lands. Probably drew the island from the remand or maybe last turn, but his hand is pretty good there. Electrolyze, very good card at this point. Cryptic Command, maybe a bit too expensive, but also the Snapcaster Mage, a very good hand there for Marcel Kacahapow.
Yeah, I feel like looking at that hand that Marcel will be the favorite this game, especially because of that Electrolyze. Electrolyze will allow Marcel to answer the Young Pyromancer on the next turn and shoot down a token as well. And afterwards he could, if he draws a couple of lands, flash it back with Snapcaster Mage.
A good play though by Carlos could be that he could Vapor Snag his own Young Pyromancer, would make another token that way, and gets to keep his Young Pyromancer around.
Yep. Still, Marcel would be able to destroy one of the 1/1 tokens and draw a card if that were to happen. But at least Carlos would keep his token generating machine. And Marcel plays it here in his main phase rather than in Carlos's turn to play around a remand.
Yeah, remand. Maybe Carlos could also draw just a Spell Pierce or something, or and also if you let your opponent untap with a Young Pyromancer and play for 1 mana, he can play any instant and make an elemental token in the process.
Yep.
Carlos Moral already at 10 life though, so he will have to be very careful with Pestomite picking at the life total of Carlos Moral. I would be surprised if he pays yet another 2 life with that Gitaxian Probe. Indeed does hardcast the Gitaxian Probe this time around, revealing Remand, Snapcaster Mage, Deceiver Exarch and Cryptic Command. A good hand still for Marcel Kacahapow. Yeah, and we have an update from the other match as Simon Gertsen joins us in the booth. Simon Gertsen, what has been happening in the other match between Emanuele, Giusti and Vjeran Horvat?
The match is still in The match is still in game 1, but Emanuele Giusti has already shown some very patient plays with Deathwatch Shaman and Tarmogoyf, making sure that he always had a threat on board against his blue-white-red control opponent, going so far as to only cast Liliana at a point where he had 2 mana left to recast Tarmogoyf should Cryptic Command bounce it. And this is pretty much where we stand. I think that Emanuele Giusti is slightly favored in this game, but you can never count out blue-white-red control.
Thank you for that update, Simon Gerson. So it seems like that match could still go either way. Simon Gerson will make his way back to the feature match area. Of course, he cannot just stand there and tell you guys what's happening, because that would spoil a lot of information to whoever is listening. So he will come back to the booth once he has more news for us. And in the meantime, Frank, what has been happening in this match?
Well, Carlos has been attacking with his young Pyromancer and the tokens, whereas Marcel has also been pressuring Carlos, who, due to his fetch and pain lands, has already been whittled down to a lowly 8 life. Now there was a Deceiver Exarch in the upkeep of Carlos, which was met by Remand. And now Carlos is slowly but steadily taking over this game. That Vapor Snag on the young Pyromancer proving to be very important, as he's currently building up a massive board presence, and he still has some spells left in his hand, whereas Marcel doesn't have any creatures on the board anymore, down to 9 life already.
Yeah, and young Pyromancer doing a lot of work there. Already 5 elemental tokens, a very great card to come out of M14, and once again creating yet another archetype in Modern Construct. We've seen a lot of decks here. We've seen Grizzlebrand, we've seen young Pyromancer, we've seen 2-10-0 for 2 Crater Hoof Behemoths. It's been a crazy weekend, and it seems like this semi-finals first game could still go either way though. If Marcel Kacahapow can combo off the next turn, and the Spell Pierce from Carlos Morel won't be enough, then Marcel can still win this first game.
So 9 life, that's not a lot when Carlos has a total of 9 power on the battlefield. Of course, Pestermite or Deceiver Exarch can tap down one of the creatures. But I think that Carlos still has a burn spell in his hand. There's also the Electrolyze, of course. It can save Marcel sometime.
This Spell Pierce is going to be a big blowout there. Countering the Electrolyze, making yet another token. He actually has lethal. This Spell Pierce is going to secure the game for Carlos Morel. Carlos Morel from Spain is about to attack for lethal next turn.
Yep.
And we see Marcel Kacahapow. Is he going to say go? He doesn't have a lot of action. Oh, it actually shows the Pillar of Flame. So game 1 to Carlos Morel. Good job by Carlos Morel. Just young Pyromancer creating so many tokens, really. Just what the deck is designed to do, really.
Yeah, one of the breakout cards of this tournament. It was one of the more interesting cards to come out in M14, and now Carlos Morel has shown us how to break it.
Yeah, it seems like we are moving on to the Emanuele Giusti matchup against Vjeran Horvat, sorry. Junt against blue-white-red. No red source though for Vjeran Horvat, so it seems like some lands might have gotten destroyed by Tectonic Age, or maybe he did not draw them yet. We do see a path to exile, take care of that Tarmogoyf. Leaving Emanuele Giusti just with a treetop village and a Raging Ravine. 2 Raging Ravines to be correct.
And no basic lands in Emanuele's deck anymore. He already has 2 swamps and a forest in play.
And there is the red source for Vjeran Horvat. Sulphur Falls as a 5th land, thanks to the island in play, comes into play untapped. Vjeran Horvat says go. Vjeran Horvat now with 5 mana up, he can have a bunch of cards. There's just so many options there for Vjeran Horvat. He's got 3 cards in hand, it seems. Some tricks he could have, Frank, are?
Well, there's definitely Lightning Bolt or Lightning Helix to deal with one of the man lands, if Emanuele would attack with one of them. There's also Cryptic Command, which could counter any spell that Emanuele plays. I can't quite see what Vjeran has in his hand, but Emanuele also doesn't know that. And there's always a difficulty against a deck filled with so many instant speed cards. You never know what your opponent is holding. You just have to make a game plan have to guess what he has and do your best to play around it.
And there we see Emanuele Giusti activates the treetop village, does not activate the second manland to play around cryptic command or maybe play something big afterwards.
Ooh, and there's Restoration Angel coming down to ambush the treetop village. Could be a crucial play by Vjeran here. Emanuele does have a lightning bolt, but that just means that he trades 2 for 1, his treetop village and the bolt against the Restoration Angel.
And the decision to activate the treetop village instead of the Raging Ravine might end up costing Emanuele Giusti that. Although if he would have activated the Raging Ravine, he wouldn't have left a red source for the lightning bolt, so that probably did matter in the end. Now Vendilion Click in response to the draw step shows the Maelstrom Pulse from Emanuele Giusti. Vjeran Horvat thinking about it, doesn't seem to care. He doesn't mind losing his Vendilion Click. Maybe does he have a counter available at 2 mana to counter? I don't. The Mana Leak doesn't work. Remand would just be replayed the Maelstrom Pulse. Maybe he just doesn't care about losing his Vendilion Click there.
No, he might be more scared of a card like Scavenging Ooze or Dark Confidant coming down, which could provide Emanuele with a bigger advantage. No, I think if I would have been in Vjeran's seat there, I might have just put the Maelstrom Pulse on the bottom anyway. So looking to be kind of a top deck race right now. Raging Ravine going to attack. There's a +1/+1 trigger on the stack, but Vjeran is going to respond to that with a Helix. So now Vjeran is definitely in a better position in this game. He has a Celestial Colonnade, which is still able to attack. So now the Deathrite Shaman from Emanuele Giusti gives him another red mana to activate his Raging Ravine to attack with it on the next turn.
So far the Deathrite Shaman actually. Lightning Bolt takes care of the Deathrite Shaman. Emanuele Giusti now at 9 life. Looking to draw a powerful creature, cannot activate that Raging Ravine.
No second red.
Vjeran and Horvat still has that Celestial Colony and actually a Lightning Bolt. So is this lethal? It actually is lethal this turn. So Vjeran Horvat probably gonna reduce that one. He does have 7 lands in total. So here we go. Celestial Colony, get in there for 6.
9 minus 6 is 3.
1 red left. Lightning Bolt you, kill Emanuele Giusti. Emanuele Giusti loses game 1 to Vjeran Horvat. So not what we thought would happen. We thought Emanuele Giusti could manage that, but there's still 2 games to be played, and he might still kick his way back into the game.
And it's a close matchup. Now we're gonna go back to our other semifinals. Carlos Morel with his blue-red Delver deck, Go Young Pyromancer and Detection Probe, up against the Tempo Twin of Marcel Kacahapow.
And I'm certainly interested in talking a little bit to Carlos Morel, how he came to the deck, how much he's played it, because his list does seem very good to me. There's quite some numbers to be tuned there. 2 Spell Pierce, 2 Spell Snare, 2 Vendilion Clicks, so not everything is a 4 of, and I really like his list, honestly.
That is often a hallmark of a deck that is being tested quite a lot. Lots of time to tweak all the numbers into the perfect amounts that you want. Now after sideboarding...
Yeah, we're gonna take a look at Carlos Morel's sideboard actually here. Here we have it, Frank. Maybe you can take a look at it and tell us what he could potentially sideboard against his blue-red Splinter Twin opponent.
Grim Lava Monster could be good to deal with opposing Grim Lava Monsters and Pestermites. Spell Pierce and Negate, good ways to deal with Splinter Twin. There's also Magma Spray, which can destroy Grim Lava Monster or Pestermite. Those might be reasonable cards. The question is what he's gonna take out. This deck is already quite tight as it is. Maybe those cards could be better than, say, Vapor Snag. But apart from that, I don't think he's gonna make huge changes to his deck.
Yeah, seems like maybe the Magma Spray is a strict update to the Pillar Flame, since Magma Spray is an instant, which could be important in response to a Splinter Twin there. Apart from that, I think his main deck is already quite good against his blue-red opponent with Vapor Snag, Spell Pierce, Remand. Just still liking his chances a lot there for Carlos Morel.
I agree. Yeah, Pillar of Flame, the exile clause on that, not particularly relevant in this matchup. So I could see boarding those out.
And same opening for Marcel Kacahapow. Turn 1, Grim Lavamancer. Last game it did not end up mattering. It got quickly killed by a lightning bolt. Does Carlos Morel has the lightning bolt once again? He does draw Gitaxian Probe. Could start digging maybe. Hoping to draw the lightning bolt. He does have a Delver of Secrets, but I don't think he's gonna play his Delver of Secrets this turn. There's already a card in the graveyard of Marcel Kacahapow. Grim Lavamancer killing of a Delver of Secrets would be like not an ideal situation.
I agree. It's too easy for Marcel to get another card into his graveyard. Any fetch land, any Serum Visions, and you don't want to give Marcel the opportunity to just kill off one of your guys for free. Much better to find a removal spell for the Grim Lavamancer first.
And there we have the Grim Lavamancer on the right of your screen actually. 1 red mana, remove 2 cards from your graveyard, deal 2 damage to target player or creature, so could easily kill off Delver of Secrets or any of the other cards. Actually could kill any creature in Carlos Morel's deck. Oh, and a risky keep there for Marcel Kacahapow. He kept a 1-lander on the play. He does have a Serum Visions, but if he does not find that second land, it might be very problematic. He will get to scry twice, draw a card as well, so he does have quite some draws, but still has to be careful. Do you like this keep on the play, Frank? Six cards, 1 land?
I think it's still fine. There's going to be like an 80 to 85% chance that Marcel will find a land on his next turn. Given that, or maybe not on his next turn, but on his third turn at least.
80 to 85, are you sure? You sure it's not 86 or 87, Frank?
I haven't done the exact math, but it's something like that. At least it's high enough that I would say, well, this is a reasonable keep.
Okay.
It is a bit dangerous against Spell Pierce, right? If Carlos would have had Spell Pierce up to counter that Serum Visions, that could have been devastating.
But
but that's not how it went down.
Now, thinking about these 2 cards, seems like he's putting both of them on top, so there must be some lands. He already drew one of the Tectonic Edges in his deck, so he's probably going to play that one. Might even have another land just yet. Puts 1 on the bottom, 1 on top, and there we have the Tectonic Edge. So no red source, no reason not to attack with the Grim Lavamancer there.
Still, a colorless land that will allow him to cast the Snapcaster Mage or the Remand, or with another land, the Deceiver Exarch that he has in his hand. So he's still going to be happy with it.
Yeah, Carlos Morel draws a Lightning Bolt for his turn, so it's probably going to kill the Grim Lavamancer and play the Delver of Secrets there, trying to pressure his opponent, who is at 17 after that fetch to Steam Vans. We have seen that there is a charm in Marcel Kachapow's hand, but Carlos Morel does not know if there's a second colored source with a Tectonic Edge and Steam Vents. Might not be enough.
Well, Marcel left the card on the top of his deck, so it's quite likely that it is going to be a land. Yeah, this game is going to be quite close. Remember, Izzet Charm, Snapcaster Mage, Remand and Deceiver Exarch. Those are the cards that Carlos still knows are in Marcel's hand. And a Grim Lavamancer as well. Does Carlos have another Bolt or possibly a Magma Spray to get rid of it?
Interesting choice there by Marcel Kacahapow, not keeping up the Izzet Charm actually, but potentially threatening a kill of the Delver of Secret by the Grim Lavamancer. Now Snapcaster Mage would be a very good card here, getting rid of it, and also getting a second creature on the board. There we see the Snapcaster Mage, so Carlos Morel does have indeed a second Snapcaster Mage. not sure if I like the play of attacking there first. You give your opponent the opportunity, but there's a... Oh, he's actually gonna wait. He's gonna wait till end of turn for it to play Snapcaster Mage.
This does seem to be the right play, because Carlos still knows that Marcel has Remand in hand. If he had just played Snapcaster Mage in his main phase, then Marcel would have responded by sacrificing his land, getting, say, an island and play Remand on the Lightning Bolt. And then Lightning Bolt would be removed once and for good. By passing the turn, Carlos was able to respond to the fetch land ability, using that Snapcaster Mage just at a moment in time when Marcel only has 1 mana available. And Marcel may be regretting his decision to sacrifice that Misty Rainforest at the end of Carlos's turn. Had he just untapped and taken the turn, then he would have been able to use that Grim Lava monster after all.
That's why I was surprised by the goal by Carlos Moral. Maybe he wanted to stop his opponent in the end step, not in the browser. We do have Simon Gertsen back in the booth. He does have an update on the other match. So Simon Gertsen, do we already have a winner in our second semi-final, or are they still playing?
They are still playing. They did take a long time sideboarding, in fact, Moraine, with Emanuele Giusti putting in some anti-control cards, but also needing Obstinate Baloth to stay alive against the damage potential. And what we are currently seeing is that Emanuele Giusti kept a very threat-light hand, trying to deal with his opponent's threat with discard and the mass removal effect of Jund Charm. However, his opponent is holding a hand of Lightning Bolt, Lightning Helix, Snapcaster Mage and Vendilion Click, so all the value from the blue-white-red tempo deck might be too much for Jund.
Okay, thank you for that. Hopefully we'll get an update as soon as the match is finished. I'm sure you will come over here and tell our viewers what is gonna happen in that match. In the meantime, we saw a Deceiver Exarch from Marcel Kacahapow untapping one of his 4 lands and Is a Charm killing off the Delver of Secrets. Great play there by Marcel, using all of his mana and getting rid of the biggest creature on the board. Well, the most threatening creature on the board. Now Vendilion Click does reveal a Snapcaster Mage and Remand. Snapcaster Mage goes to the bottom. Marcel draws another card.
And another Delver of Secrets. So currently that Deceiver Exarch is keeping the Snapcaster Mage at bay, but Vendilion Click and Delver of Secrets, once Carlos finds a sorcery or instant on top of his deck, will be able to fly over. And the lone card that Marcel still has in his hand, that Carlos also knows, the Remand, that's not going to be a solution to the flyers of Carlos at all.
And Marcel is down a game in this semi-finals of Grand Prix Prague. He's looking at least 3 damage next turn.
No, Carlos is up a game.
Carlos is up a game, and Marcel is down a game, of course. So he's looking against 3 damage. He's already at 13 life. Remand, as we know, is in his hand. He did seem to draw a Snapcaster Mage for his turn, so he could potentially flashback that Is a Charm if he wants to. Maybe hold on to the Remand, but I think he has to take care of the threats now that he can. If he waits for the flashback with for next turn, for example, then maybe a potential Remand from Carlos Moral could counter the Is a Charm.
Exactly. And in this situation, with Carlos threatening potentially 6 damage on the next turn if the Delver of Secret transforms, I think Marcel has to protect his life total and get rid of that Vendilion Click while he still can, and while Carlos does not have any untapped mana to counter those attempts. So is there a sorcery or instant on top of Carlos's deck? That's going to be a huge thing. No, there is not.
That's a draw, and but it is a Young Pyromancer, so
also
still
not bad.
Still a fine draw there from Carlos Moral. Can play it. Could also play the Snapcaster Mage and flashback that Gitaxian Probe, making a token. Although that 1/4 body is proving to be problematic at this point. You would 1/4 for toughness, too big for all of these 2/1s here.
Just like in Limited, a 1/4 keeping all of them at bay.
Carlos Moral does draw a card, but yeah, he obviously shows the Remand. We still know that one. Now a good trick there, playing the fetch land. That works very well together with the Delver of Secrets.
If Carlos would find a land on top of his deck in his upkeep that he can look at with Delvero's secrets, then he can quickly shuffle his library and basically improve his draw step.
Yeah, of course he does not need that seventh land actually, so he would get to shuffle before his draw step, and that way he won't draw that extra land. We will get to see if that's coming up. Oh, Batter Skull. That's quite an expensive card in this matchup, but it looks to be very good on this board. Gonna gain some life, gonna keep attacking, could even potentially equip the Deceiver Exarch for 8 toughness.
Yeah, this is huge.
But Serum Vision is also a good draw for Carlos Morel. Flips the Insectile Abomination, the Delver of Secrets, of course. Aberration? Insectile Aberration. That's a difficult word, Rich Hagen. Let me try again. Insectile Aberration. Yeah, awesome. I got it right. So
it still looks like an abomination.
Yeah, let me call it.
It is kind of a scientific experiment gone wrong.
And now a remand for Carlos Morel. A good draw, but not the best. He would have hoped for a Vapor Snack, I'm guessing there. Is there one in the top 2 for Carlos Morel? In the meantime, the second match is still playing, where Vjeran Horvat is up a game against Emanuele Giusti in our other semifinals. This match, this semifinals, Carlos Morel is up a game against Marcel Kacahapow.
Yeah, that's Vapor Snack and Grim Lava Monster that he is looking at. Vapor Snack can be an excellent tempo answer to the Batter Skull, at least the Germ token, which will allow Carlos to get rid of a lifelinker for 1 turn while smashing in with a bunch of creatures, and also getting another token with the young Pyromancer.
There we go, attack with the Insectile yeah, whatever, the 3/2 flyer. But in the meantime, we do have Simon Gertsen back in the booth. Simon Gertsen, tell us what's happening in the other semifinals.
The Threadlight game I described earlier is continuing, with actually none of the players having a creature in play. There is Celestial Colonnade and Raging Ravine on each side, but so far not a lot of damage being dealt. However, Vjeran Horvat has Geist of Saint Traft, Restoration Angel, and Cryptic Command in hand, so I still like his chances, because Emanuele Giusti just hasn't really gotten anything to stick on the battlefield.
Okay, thanks a lot for that, and keep us updated on the other semi-finals, please. In the meantime, we do see an attack from the Batter Skull token. Carlos Morel thinking about his options here. Frank, tell us, what play do you like here?
I would just take the damage, because Carlos does have access to Vapor Snack on the next turn, and well, he's not going to win a long attrition game against the Batter Skull. What he needs to do is to play a tempo game. Losing some of his creatures is not going to be great here. On the other hand, if he does block with Snapcaster Mage and 2 tokens, taking down the Germ token, he forces Marcel to spend either 5 mana to equip, say, Deceiver Exarch, or the Snapcaster Mage. That would also be nice from a tempo perspective. Jump block.
He's actually looking to chum block here, not willing to go down to 9 life. 9 life against a deck with Lightning Bolt and a Snapcaster Mage could be not enough. So he wants to keep some more tokens, it seems. Valuing these Snapcaster Mages quite high. We know that he's going to draw a Vapor Snack here as well. So,
yeah, and then there's a Grim Lava Monster below that. And he can decide whether he wants to keep that Grim Lava Monster or not. He always has the option of shuffling with Misty Rainforest if he decides that Grim Lava Monster is not going to be good enough. Oh, he actually put the Grim Lava Monster on top and the Vapor Snack below.
Oh, and this is going to be an interesting battle. Marcel still holding that remand, but Carlos Morel could respond with a remand of his own on the Grim Lava Monster. It seems like Marcel is not taking the bait, actually.
Remanding a 1 mana card is also not a great deal.
Insectile Aberration comes in for 3, puts Marcel Kacahapow potentially at 11, but we see a Pestermite from Marcel. Are we going to see a response here from Carlos Morel? maybe remand on the Pestermite, getting a token in the process. Yeah, and Marcel Kacahapow also knows about that play we just described. Now this way the rebound from Carlos Moral does fizzle. Marcel Kacahapow does get back his Pestermite and draws a card. This means there's still a Vapor Snack on top. A very good play there from Marcel Kacahapow.
Indeed, remand usually used to counter the opponent's spells, but indeed, when your opponent is trying to counter your spells, remanding your own spells can prove to be quite valuable. And it can be very important that Carlos does not draw the Vapor Snack here this turn, because it means that Marcel gets another attack in with his Better Skull token. Another Snapcaster Mage.
Serum Visions or remand, that's gonna be any use, of course. So Serum Vision throws him a card. Scry 2, digging for, I'm guessing maybe the Splinter Twin to hope to combo. Maybe another Better Skull if he did sideboard both of them.
Yeah, because once Marcel finds Splinter Twin, you can just put it on the Deceiver Exarch and make infinite 1/4 hasty attackers take the game right there.
Yeah, and a good card to remember as well, Marcel does have 2 copies of Anger of the Gods. Imagine Anger of the Gods on this board. It would kill all of the creatures and keep the Deceiver Exarch and the Germ token.
Yeah, that would be a huge draw.
Marcel does keep both cards, so certainly good things coming up for Marcel. This is going to be hard for Carlos, isn't it?
Marcel is going to go up to 15 life, and Carlos will have quite some problem dealing 15 points of damage quickly. Though Carlos does have Young Pyromancer, which can generate quite a few tokens over the course of the next turns. He does have Grim Lavamancer, which he can activate, taking down some Snapcaster Mages. It's gonna be close. Especially since Carlos also has the Vapor Snack on the next turn. Should Marcel equip one of his, well, he will probably equip his Deceiver Exarch with the with the Better Skull.
He could equip his Snapcaster Mage in and well, no, then
but
there's the Grim Lavamancer.
Exactly.
Course, so there's only one good equip there. He did keep both cards. We do see another Pestermite for Marcel Kacahapow. Is this gonna change the map? He's gonna tap down something, but I'm guessing the Pestermite is just gonna die to the Grim Lavamancer.
Yeah, it might make sense to tap down the flyer, indeed, saving himself 3 points of damage. And remember that Deceiver Exarch, that 1/4, is still holding the Young Pyromancer and the Snapcaster Mage at bay. No good attacks for Carlos here.
Yeah, very tense match indeed. Back and forth, both players crying, sculpting their draws, trying to find the perfect answer to whatever comes up. And it seems like it can still go either way. An interesting attack there from Carlos Moral, attacking with the Snapcaster Mage into the Deceiver Exarch.
Of course he has Grim Lavamancer in play to deal the 2 final points of damage to Deceiver Exarch. Should Marcel block.
Yeah, it does mean he won't have his Grim Lavamancer available next turn if Marcel equips with the Better Skull.
Yeah, and he will lose his Snapcaster Mage in the process if that happens.
And it seems like we might have a winner in the other match. I'm guessing that would be Vjeran Horvat, but we will get an update as soon as possible from Simon Gertz, and he's walking over here, gonna tell us all about what happened in that match. Tell us, Simon, what was happening in that match, and who is our first finalist of Grand Prix Prague 2014?
It's Horvat. I've rarely seen a more volatile game. The Thran, the one-off Thran out of Giusti's sideboard allowed him to control the game, the pace of the game, racing intentionally against Geist of St. Traff. But you all know that's a dangerous thing to do. The manlands weren't really doing anything because the creatures were so dominant and lightning bolts were taking care of Raging Ravines. The 4/4 Celestial Colony was too expensive to activate. When it looked like Giusti had almost won, Liliana resolving and being 1 turn away from winning, Horvat was able to end of turn lightning bolt him, play Thundermaw Hellkite, and attack for 11, which was lethal.
Now that seemed like an interesting game there. 11 damage right there. Thunder Mahalka just proving again to be a great card for Vjeran Horvat. In the meantime, we do see Better Skill getting equipped onto that Snapcaster Mage. Now, I've seen better Vapor Snacks.
Vapor Snack on Snapcaster Mage is not exactly what you want, because it allows Marcel to replay a Snapcaster Mage on the next turn and then flashback Lightning Bolt. That Lightning Bolt has just taken out Young Pyromancer, which was one of the ways that Carlos was planning to win this game. So now Carlos is down to a transformed Delver of Secrets and a Grim Lava Monster. I'm trying to avoid the aberration. Abomination.
Aberration. Yeah, you guys get the deal. It's a 3/2 flyer. Sometimes it's just a Delver of Secrets. Sometimes it's a 3/2 flyer. Now Marcel Kacahapow in the lead in this game, and it seems like we are heading into a game 3.
Yeah, absolutely.
Do you see a way out for Carlos Morel?
He could always draw another Young Pyromancer and then chain a bunch of Detection Probes.
Maybe just a Spell Snare for the Snapcaster Mage?
That can also work, because if indeed he would draw a Spell Snare, then he can counter the Snapcaster Mage, and then once Marcel goes to equip one of his 2 creatures, Carlos can kill them in response with Grim Lava Monster.
But that's not a Spell Snare, it's another Delver of Secrets. Now Carlos Kacahapow has all the options. If he draws a land, he can actually play Snapcaster Mage, Lightning Bolt one of the creatures, and then equip the Better Skull.
Actually, if he draws a land, he might very well bounce Better Skull and replay it to get a 4/4 lifelinker. And if he does that, then the Grim Lava Monster is not able to take out the lifelinking creature. But it looks like Marcel has 2 spells in hand, no land.
Remember guys, this is the second semi-finals of Grand Prix Prague 2014. We already know one of our finalists. It's gonna be Vjeran Horvat with his blue-white-red mid-rangey deck. He's been attacking people with Thunder Maw, Hellkite and Geist of Sindraft. He's gonna be in our finals. We are still waiting for this match. Carlos Morel up a game, but this game is not looking very bright.
No, it's not. That Snapcaster Mage in Marcel's hand threatens to flashback Lightning Bolt on Grim Lava Monster, and once that Lava Monster is gone, Marcel will be free to equip any of his creatures with Better Skull and smash in for 6 points of damage with lifelink, and that might prove to be fatal. Carlos trying to decide whether or not he should block the Snapcaster Mage with his Delver of Secrets. Carlos already down to 8 life, so he needs to be careful of his life total.
Especially given that there is still a Snapcaster Mage in the hand of Marcel Kacahapow. He can still deal an additional 3 damage with the Lightning Bolt in his graveyard.
No, Carlos did not block, falls to 6 life.
There we see the Lightning Bolt indeed getting rid of that Grim Lava Monster. Carlos Morel now
if there is something like a Lightning Bolt on top of Carlos's deck, he would be able to flip his Delver, attack Marcel down to 5 life, and then have an instant speed answer to the equip ability. So this is going to be a huge flip. Is there? No. No.
That's, if it's not an
no sorcery, no instant.
It's not gonna be a Serum Visions either, so no cantrip, just a land. And Carlos Morel scoops up 1-1 in the second semi-finals. We will have to wait if we want to know our finals. Is it gonna be Carlos Morel against Vjeran Horvat, or is it gonna be Marcel Kacahapow against Vjeran Horvat? We will have to wait for this final 3rd game.
And these are some tense games. Grim Lava Monster and Snapcaster Mage. Lots of attrition here. We haven't really seen any Splinter Twin combos yet. Perhaps Marcel actually boarded out his entire Splinter Twin and Kiki Jiki combo. He might just be going for more of a control game. Indeed, we also saw the Better Skull this game, which suggests that he is indeed trying to go for this controlling approach.
Yeah, we're gonna take a quick look at the cyber of Marcel Kacahapow. As you mentioned, these two Battle Skull. I'm 100% sure these two Anger of the Gods came in as well.
Yeah, it's
maybe
a perfect
even,
answer to Young Pyromancer.
and maybe even the Engineered Explosive Frank gets rid of tokens for 2 mana, or for 2. If you play it for 2, you can get rid of the Young Pyromancer.
As well as a transformed Delver of Secrets, because once it's transformed, its mana cost is 0. So Engineered Explosives also has a lot of utility, and I can certainly imagine boarding in those anti-creature cards and boarding out perhaps a couple of Splinter Twin.
Yeah. I'd also like to notice that if Marcel Kacahapow wins this one, he will get to play against Vjeran Horvat. That would be blue-white-red, blue-red twin against blue-white-red control. So no Jund in the finals. Actually, we are already sure there's no Jund, Junk, or Ajundi in the finals. We had 4 copies in the top 8. All of them are out.
Yep, couldn't live up to their potential. No, we actually only had 3 copies of 8, right?
There's a Junk from Jeremy Desani. There was a Jundi from
You're
Andre
correct.
Rutar.
Yeah,
A
4 in
Junk
total.
from Emanuele Giusti, and
Wow.
a Jundi from Robin Dollar. I was right. Yeah. Belgium 1, Netherlands 0.
Fine, fine.
Just like the World Cup up in a few months. Frank.
Ooh, such a dagger.
What? They have the best team ever. You don't know?
I was 6th the last time Belgium played in the World Cup.
Yeah, that's probably true, but I think Vincent Kompany is coming after that trophy this year. Rich Hagen, I don't think England is anywhere near that trophy for this year.
But indeed, it is somewhat surprising that all of these Liliana of the Veil, Dark Confidant, Tarmogoyf, Deathright Shaman decks fell, and none of them are left anymore to vie for the trophy. Perhaps the blue-red base is the best in Modern after all. One way or another, we are going to see Snapcaster Mage, Lightning Bolt, Vendilion Clique in both of the decks of the finalists. And it doesn't even matter whether Marcel wins or Carlos wins. Blue-red is where it is currently at in Modern.
Yeah, and there we have the top 8 bracket actually. Marcel Kacahapow is still playing against Carlos Moral. They are 1-1 at this point. So after this game, we're gonna know our finals of Grand Prix Prague 2014. The other semi-finals, it was Emanuele Giusti playing Jund. He lost to Vjeran Horvat. We thought Emanuele Giusti was favored in that particular match, but it seems like Vjeran Horvat has been playing very well. His Thundermaw Hellkite, together with the Guides of St. Trav, did 11 damage in the final turn, securing that first final spot. This is going to be an interesting match. Next match is going to be even more interesting.
It's just this game and then the next match left. Actually, given that we are up to game 3, Marcel might actually be favored to win this one.
You're looking
I didn't really like the combo plan all that much, especially given that Carlos has so much disruption against it. But that Better Skull really proved itself in this game. It's a great card. Though it should be noted that Carlos still has Remand as well as Spell Pierce in his deck to deal with it.
Yeah, 4 toughness seems to be the key point of this tournament so far. We've seen a lot of Jund decks having trouble handling a Restoration Angel, Linvala. Now we have the Blue-Red Delver deck that also has troubles with Deceiver, Exarch and Better Skull. So 4 toughness is where you want to be, and I'm guessing that's normal when there's Lightning Bolt in the format. Lightning Bolt still defining the format. In so many decks out there, at least 6 of the 8 lists in the top 8 do actually run no, there's 5 I think. There's Ajani. No, there's 6 of them that are running 4 Lightning Bolt. So Lightning Bolt still the most played card in our top 8.
Yeah, it has been called the best card in Modern for quite some time. In some metagames it is not all that good. If everyone would be playing combo decks such as Scapeshift or Tron, Lightning Bolt does not answer any of those combos. But when it's creature decks against creature decks, Lightning Bolt is still the best card that you can have. Especially when combined with Snapcaster Mage, which both of these players are running.
So both these players looking at their opening 7. Carlos Morel and Marcel Kacahapow still looking at we can see a few cards from Marcel Kacahapow. Seems like he does have quite some lands there. At least an island and some fetches.
Maybe an Electrolyze, which could be very good against all the X1 creatures in the deck of Carlos.
Yeah, Electrolyze also one of these cards that really proved himself to be crucial at this tournament. There's also 3 copies of that one in Vjeran Horvat, our first finalist. 3 copies of Electrolyze in Vjeran Horvat, 2 copies of it in Marcel Kacahapow. So a great card against John, getting rid of Dark Confident, getting rid of Deathfire Shaman, drawing card in the mean process, but also very good against the blue-red Delver deck. One of the best cards actually.
I think what we're gonna see in this game is that Marcel will try to be the control deck, staving off the early attacks, perhaps trying to sweep the board with Anger of the Gods or the Engineered Explosives, and then eventually taking over with something like a Grim Lava Monster or a Better Skull, perhaps even something as crazy as a Snapcaster Mage with Splinter Twin, if he still actually keeps the Splinter Twins in after sideboard. And I wouldn't be surprised if he boarded them all out, transformed into a pure control deck. Carlos, with all the tempo cards in his deck, will try to be on the aggressive, get in some early points of damage, and solidify his early board advantage with cards such as Remand.
It seems like he does have a hand with only 1 land. It's a Mystery Rainforest there that he's going to sacrifice. He does have a couple of Remands, a Delver of Secrets and a Serum Vision, so not a bad hand. And if he gets to flip that Delver of Secrets early and then stop Marcel with a couple of Remands, could be a quick game for Carlos Morel.
And there's always the question of whether you play Serum Visions or Delver of Secrets here, because if you play Delver, then it is quite likely that you won't have a second mana for a Remand on the next turn. If you play Serum Visions, it is much more likely due to the sky that you will be able to find a second land.
And another Remand there for Carlos Morel, so he's now holding at least 3 Remands, might even be 4 actually. We will get to see that in a minute. Now he's thinking about these 2 cards. Does he have the second land he needs? It's actually a Snapcaster Mage, so triple Remand, Snapcaster Mage and Delver of Secrets in Carlos Morel hand.
1 on top, 1 on bottom it seemed like. So almost certainly going to be a land drawn, no?
Actually not a land for Carlos Morel. He opts to go for just 1 land. He kept the Magma Spray.
Yeah, he does know that his opponent, Marcel, is playing 3 Grim Lava Monster, and he must have decided that he really needs an answer to that one.
Yeah, but skipping his second land drop for that, I'm a bit surprised, especially given his triple Remand draw.
It is a risky play, though given that he has Delver of Secrets in play now, he will usually be happy with the top of his deck anyway. If it is a land, perfect, he can play his spells. If it is not a land, then it's quite likely to be an instant or sorcery, and Delver of Secrets will be able to transform. But yeah, missing a second land drop, usually not the way you want to start the game. And yeah, Carlos might end up regretting his decision to leave the red burn spell on top.
So no flip, but indeed a second land for Carlos Morel. I'm guessing he didn't want to flip his Delver of Secrets there. He just wanted to draw a second land. Now with the fetch land, actually the perfect draw there, since he can again use the trick with Delver of Secrets.
And to remind you, that trick is you get to look at the top card in your upkeep. If it is an instant or sorcery card, then excellent, Delver of Secret transforms. If not, well, Delver of Secrets doesn't transform. But one way or another you get to see what it is. And Carlos might be looking for lands here. So if he sees a non-land card on top, he can shuffle his deck with Misty Rainforest during his upkeep and increase the chances of drawing a land in his draw step. But given that Marcel goes for Snapcaster Mage here in his main phase.
No, he's doing this in response to the attack with Delver of Secrets, just hoping to ambush the Delver of Secrets now that it is still a 1-1.
he does have to play the Remand right now. So no nice tricks. Who always like to see nice tricks, but
Marcel Kacahapow, he untaps. Does he have an Anger of the Gods? Maybe another card to get rid of the Delver of Secrets?
Carlos drew Young Pyromancer off of the Remand. One of the key cards in his deck. I'm not sure whether he is more happy to see that than a land, but it can certainly provide a steady stream of tokens.
A fetch land for Marcel Kacahapow gets himself a third land. Will be interesting to see what his next play is. Does he get rid of the Delver of Secrets, or does he feel like he's got some more time, just maybe choosing to tap down a land from Carlos Moral with, for example, Deceiver Exarch or Pestermite? It's actually an Electrolyze, dealing 1 damage to Carlos Moral, drawing a card. A great turn there for Marcel Kacahapow, getting rid of the only creature on the board.
And again, doing it in the main phase to make sure that his removal spell does not get countered by Remand or Spell Pierce.
Carlos Moral does draw the third land, so now he has some options to go for. He could Snapcaster Mates and flashback Serum Visions. He could potentially play Young Pyromancer, keep up 1 mana. Which play do you think he'll go for? Which one do you like the most?
I like to get out the Young Pyromancer as early as possible, because the earlier it is in play, the more advantage you can get. Nope, but Carlos chooses the Snapcaster Mage, digging further through his deck. It also allows him to set up a better turn for the Young Pyromancer, because he didn't have a good spell to go with it this turn.
He did draw a 4th land of that Serum Visions. Now looking at the top 2, keeping both of these cards, so seems like there's some good cards coming for Carlos Moral, and this does indeed make sure he's got a good plan for the next 2 or 3 turns. Now with still a Remand in hand, 2 Remand actually, and the Young Pyromancer, he can just play the Pyromancer, keep up 2 to bounce potential Anger of the Gods. Well, not bounce, counter it and return it to Marcel's hand. This is the 2nd semi-finals of Grand Prix Prague. We already have 1 finalist in the books. We have Vjeran Horvat with blue, white, red. Kind of mid-range guys of St. Trev, Dillian Click, Thundermaw, Hellkite. So we are going to see at least, well, we're going to see 2 blue-red decks in the finals of this Grand Prix Modern. We're going to see 8 lightning bolts as well. That thing we are sure of.
8 Snapcaster Mages.
Indeed, 8 Snapcaster Mages. So it seems like Lightning Bolt, Snapcaster Mage was a good place to be in at this GP.
Yep, Thiago Chan's invitational card that he got to design for winning the 2007 Magic Invitational. There you get a good look at the crowd. Still many people here in the venue. It's already getting late, but cheering on Carlos and Marcel.
Yeah, some of them looked really tired after 2 days. Some of them looked really happy to be cheering for their friend. Marcel Kacahapow, in the meantime, using the crucial, Carlos was stepped out, so he did not have the ability to remand something, or for example, so Marcel used that turn to play his Pestermite, untap 1 of his lands, still 2 mana up for Marcel.
Yeah, and this might suggest that Marcel is holding Remand in hand. Carlos might also pick up on that, because untapping a land means that you typically want to use that mana, and an important 2 mana spell in Marcel's deck is Remand.
Now the couple of 3 or 4 turns I'm guessing are gonna be deciding who's gonna be our 2nd semi-finalist. Will it be Carlos Moral or will it be Marcel Kacahapow? Both these guys, it's gonna be their first GP top 8.
Now given that Marcel might very well have Remand in hand, I'd like to start off with a Pillar of Flame or magma spray on Carlos' side. Perhaps Marcel decides to remand it, and then if he does that, then Carlos can play Young Pyromancer, land, Pillar of Flame after all. So Carlos is hoping that Marcel remands the Pillar of Flame here.
And a great play there by Carlos, playing his his cheapest card first, so that he only wastes 1 mana that way. Here we actually see it very well played by Carlos Morel. He's not going for the Young Pyromancer first.
He might not have another...
He does have a 4th land, but maybe he wants his remand to be live. Doesn't want to tap out again. Maybe facing, for example, a Better Skull.
That makes sense. He did lose game 2 to Better Skull. Might be very scared of that one. On the other hand, developing your board, getting out the Young Pyromancer as well as a token when Marcel is stepped out also has quite some merit to it. Though he may have seen the deck list and knows that Marcel has access to Anger of the Gods after sideboard. And if he had gone for the Young Pyromancer, he would have played right into that sweeper.
Tectonic Edge from Marcel Kacahapow as his 5th land. Still a lot to fight through too. And he's already at 13, so just a few attacks from a Snapcaster Mage, maybe a Lightning Bolt on top of that, and he might well be dead. Snapcaster Mage from Marcel. Will Carlos already pull the trigger on remand? I'm guessing he will just wait for the flashback of Electrolyze here. And a great way to counter flashback to Electrolyze, by the way. If you remand it, it does not go back to Marcel's hand. It will go to the remove from the game pile.
And also good timing by Marcel. He tries to go for this play in the upkeep of Carlos. If he had done it in his main phase, then Carlos would have been able to spend his mana on remand on Marcel's turn. If he wants to remand it now, he has 2 mana less to work with on his own turn. And Marcel also does it in the upkeep, not when Carlos attacks or something, because then Carlos does not have the ability to draw remand in his draw step. So great timing there by Marcel.
Carlos Morel indeed playing that remand on that Electrolyze, drawing a Lightning Bolt on the way. Now he still has another remand and a Delver of Secrets. So once again, despite only having 2 mana, he's got so many options. And it's been this blue-red. It's what both of these players are doing. They have a lot of options, and every play is crucial.
This is such a tight game. Marcel choosing not to block. That might indicate that Marcel
looking to go aggressive.
Possibly holding. I'm not really sure what that means. My first inclination would be that Marcel would block the Snapcaster Mage here, as Marcel might attempt to be the control deck in this matchup and preserve his life total. What could be going on is that Marcel wants to smash back and possibly ambush Carlos' Snapcaster Mage with Deceiver Exarch on the coming turn. Yeah, so Marcel has Better Skull in hand, it seems, but he's still up against 2 untapped mana from Carlos and knows that Carlos may very well have a remand. In fact, because Carlos has so many cards in hand but is not playing anything, also not playing a lot of lands, Marcel has to figure out that Carlos is holding counter magic. And when playing against counter magic, you don't want to just offer up your important 5 mana win condition.
A lot of choices here to
and he just passes the turn.
Just passing the turn with 6 mana up. Maybe in the upkeep once again a card to play. Is it going to be Snapcaster Mage or maybe just a burn spell? Yeah, there we have Is a Charm in the upkeep of Carlos Morel. Again, great timing by Marcel Kacahapow. He's playing the upkeep game at this point of the game. The upkeep game at this point of the game, ladies and gentlemen.
Who doesn't like a good upkeep game?
So now just 1 creature left on the play on the battlefield. 1 Snapcaster Mage for Marcel Kacahapow. Carlos Morel down to 0 creature, does have the Delver of Secrets in hand. drew, it seems like a Vendilion click as well, so he can get some creatures on the board yet again.
Yeah, the problem is that Carlos has been keeping 2 mana up the entire game so far, because he wants to be ready with a remand on, say, on the Better Skull. But effectively that has hampered his development, effectively double stone raining him, because Marcel never gave him a chance to use that 2 mana on Marcel's turn. And bit by bit, because Marcel has much more mana to work with, he is taking over this game.
Yeah, it seems like we're going to the final turns with Carlos Morel at 12 life. He does have a lightning bolt, so he could get rid of a Snapcaster Mage, but he has to...
Yeah, there is a charm being flashbacked on Delver of Secrets. Now Carlos had the option of remanding that Izzet charm, and then it would be removed for good, and he would still have his Delver of Secrets. But had he done that, he would have given Marcel an opening to resolve the Better Skull. But still, if Carlos is going to keep up 2 mana for the rest of the game, he only has 2 lands to work with to cast spells, and Marcel seems to have caught on to the fact that Carlos has remand in hand, and Marcel has much more mana to work with, and it looks like he's just never going to cast any spells on his own turn, never giving Carlos a good option to use that remand.
Yeah, and even the remand does not take care of the Better Skull. It bounces it for 1 turn, but next turn it can be cast again. Very patient play by Carlos Morel, but I'm not sure if this is the right play to play this game. Maybe he should have just tried to resolve that young Pyromancer and make some more tokens early on.
Yeah, I do agree, especially now that Carlos does not have any creatures left, no pressure remaining on the battlefield. It's gonna be tough. He's in a bit of a bind. Either play out his cards, but then he will likely fall to Better Skull in the long game, or need to keep mana up all the time for the remand and hamper the development.
Tectonic Edge on one of the non-basics from Carlos Morel. Is he going to use that opportunity? Yeah, he taps it. Probably going to see a Vendilion click there to take a look at Marcel Kachapow's hand. And we are also very curious, what is there? What are we going to see from Marcel Kacahapow?
Remember that this is at the end of Carlos's turn, so if Marcel has a remand, then he could actually... No, he cannot counter it. Though he did have the option of responding to the Vendilion click trigger by bolting or Izzet charming it. He did not go for that play though.
Yeah, Carlos recognizes the power of Better Skull, gets rid of it, and this gives Marcel another draw, and now he still has 2 removal spells, so the next 2 creatures are probably going to die. The remand not going to do very much actually, since it's just going to bounce it. Oh, actually a Vendilion click off the top there with the card he drew from his opponent's Vendilion click, and now he has to think. Now Carlos has to think, does he want to play the remand? I think he's going to pull the trigger on the remand this turn.
I think so too. He has to do it at some point, and especially now that the Better Skull is gone anyway, the huge remand on Better Skull play is not an option anymore, and he needs to do something with his mana. Now, due to the new legendary rules, if Vendilion click would come down on Marcel's side of the board, both players would still have 1 3/1 creature in play. They don't get destroyed anymore. Each player can have 1 copy of any legendary permanent on his own side of the battlefield.
Yeah, indeed, the Steam Vents should be in the graveyard. There we see it.
Yes.
The Tectonic Edge was still on the stack. There we go. Steam Vent goes to the graveyard, leaving Carlos Morel just... Oh, and there! Carlos Morel was at 8.
Wow.
Double bolt takes the game. Wow, out of nowhere.